The Kia Sportage inspires attention.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Hello, good evening. Well, is it a good evening? But welcome back to Jackocar. This is half of the Kia series. You're joining me, Gareth Hall, in the commentary box, being joined by Yuri Yasalaga, otherwise known as Yuri Hasalaga, for what will be a very strange race, the second round of the Kia series here in Jackocar. We have had chaos on board, as we've had people not turning up, not telling us they're going to be here, or equally just not replying if they've been unwell or not feeling like they'll be here on time. Just no communication at all. Really poor stuff. So we've got some ringers in, and it's going to make it tasty. Yuri, you've been dying to get back in the on the race seat after, of course, shithousing your way to a win in Zandvoort. Well, what is it, a season ago? How are you feeling?
It's time to put my money where my mouth is, right? I've been outed in the Cup Series chat by Quinn after he had a successful first couple of rounds and is ahead of me in the standings. So it seems like it's fitting that I'm here and he's not.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Absolutely so. But if anyone is watching, do give us a shout if you can hear Yuri this time. We turned him up to every max level possible, so yeah, do let us know. Here you go, Jackocar format for you all. As you can see, points all the way down to 16th position. It's mandatory 2-stop with one joker per season. That is a race where you get to make one pit stop only. Sim damage. We've got a hot lap qualification over the next 18 minutes or so. We've got multiplayer cars. Every car has to be running a livery that is not default, or you will find yourself on the bench for 5 races. We have a regular season with the playoffs. A championship 5 will come at the end of the calendar. Dynamic weather with stage points and win, and you are in. And that means winning in the regular season takes you through to the playoffs. And well, that is what we saw last week from Daniel P. Wilnut on his debut, making sure that he took it as we load in here to Shanghai, and it's Yuri's favourite weather.
Fucking wet.
So let's take you through to it right now. Is just to load this one up, expecting to see chaos out on circuit.
Just to be sure, you don't want the race forecast, right?
Oh well, no, absolutely not. No, I want
Okay.
to know nothing.
Sorry to say, it's going to be bone dry.
Oh, what a shame. So we do have a full wet qualification, so that will be coming over the next 18 minutes. Everyone will come out in their allotted times. So I'm just trying to remember, with so many new faces, who's going to be coming out in what slot first. Most likely it will be Scott, I think, that might come out. Although Thomas Nevitt could equally come out first, because I think he missed last week or the week before as well. So it's going to be a lottery. But whilst we do wait for these guys to come out, we will quickly just give you a roundup of what was going on. Of course, here is the calendar as I was blabbing around, and so we'll cut back to the on-track action when cars are out on circuit. It is China. It's a 50% race here. Of course, next week we head over to the Algarve. We go to Portimao for the Portuguese Grand Prix. The week before, the inaugural Ked Travitz Invitational Sprint takes place in Austria. So plenty of racing to tune into over the next few weeks. But we are here in China. It's a 5.45 kilometre circuit, 3.38 miles. It's a 28 lap race, that's 50%. Last time we saw it was season 5, or race 5, where pole was a 33.280, and the winner was Danny Quinn. As you see, well, the results coming into this one, it is Daniel Pinnock Wilner, it's Dan Price that is advanced already after taking a debut win, with Robin Border having that win snatched away his joker after jumping the restart by around about 10 metres or so. And well, that meant that he took a hefty penalty and dropped all the way down into what was effectively, I think, 5th position on circuit. But yeah, you got Florian Meyer, who can't be here tonight. He came home to make it a debut 1-2 for the rookies. Matt Shepherd on the podium. He was good here last season. What can he do this time around? Then you've got Robin, who does have 4 playoff points. But as we go back to the action, we'll expect to see a little bit better from some of the guys out here. As well, with the rain coming down, Mr. Hasselager, would you like to? Is it going to be full wet for the full season? Might as well just tell us. It does look as though it's going to be full wet, or will we go in intermediates at any point?
From what I can see, this seems to be, I'm going to do my best impression. This has been manipulated, man, because the weather is on 93% throughout the entire event, for what I can see. So, yeah, neat. Can't wait. This went so well in the 24-hour event, so, yeah.
Well, yeah, famously, it's all about heavy rain and how everyone loves it. And well, mix that with Kia and you're in treat for an absolute barnstormer. But well, here comes the first.
Solid point, actually.
Oh god, wow! He's lucky to get away with that. As Thomas Nevitt, does he even get across the line because he went wide at the final corner? Hopefully, that's not invalidated his lap before he even got to it. But he will be starting us out for the first flying lap of tonight, the benchmark. So he'll be the one moving the water, which is why you see him disappearing off screen as he oversteers and understeers and everything in between. Well, he's just got to keep it within the 2 white lines on either side of the circuit. He's gone purple in sector 1, so it's a great lap so far. As he gets on the curb and almost spins the rear tyres up on exit. The man that didn't tell us he was going to be late and just turned up and said he was in Leeds. Who cares? Tell us if you're not going to be here on time. What can he do is he makes it around a circuit that is a bit of a Marmite circuit for many. Some people tend to like it. Some people tend to hate it. I tend to lean towards the dislike. You just find it a bit garbage circuit. I don't like watching it in real life as well. And a bit disappointing. We'll be going back. There is much better circuits as Thomas is going to decide to take the Joker line through the exit of that corner. It puts him onto the snail, so it's still a valid lap, but I don't think it's going to be particularly quick as he tries to get on the power as early as possible. You can see him just feathering the throttle down the back straight now. You can see the rain's coming down so heavily you can't even see the hairpin at the bottom of the straight as he gets down into the braking zone. Hit the breakers at the right time. Has he done it? No, there's an apex in there somewhere. But Thomas can now straighten the car up, line it up for the final corner left-hander, which you kind of want to take as fast as possible. But in these conditions, you'll find doing that will invalidate your lap. So Thomas, due to start this one at the back of the order, which now takes us over to a man that we haven't seen in Kia in, gosh, how long? It was the last time we saw, as Jacko likes to say, Risky Racer. It's Sullivan Lewis, Speed Risky, back here in Kia. What can he do? Representing Team Speed, of course, with the sky blue on the livery. But Risky, he's jumped in very, very quickly to help us out. I'm expecting him to be semi-decent tonight. But he does have a penchant on this game for the last, 6 or 7 races or so of just binning it at every opportunity. He's obviously taking on Pete as a role model at the moment, but hits the apex, which is better than we can say for some of the drivers we'll see tonight. But what can Risky do? Can he keep it within the white lines on his fast lap? Yes, he does. So it's going to be a competitive time. It's going to be a time. It's a 1:57.36 is the benchmark. So that's what we're expecting to see from these guys, and it will be Michael Okeke out next. So as Okeke comes down to the first corner, we will just get some insight here from Mr. Hasselager. What's the plan? Did we have a wet setup on the car, or are we desperately now trying to find our way from a dry setup and turning the wings up?
Well, because the 24-hour event was ran at a 100% guaranteed full wet weather race on China, I have a setup. My race didn't go so well, so I have no idea whether this is an actual good setup or not. So we'll see what's what, and go from there. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. I will just like to point out that I've got the great insights here that in the first sector, Thomas was quicker than Sullivan Lewis.
Oh, get him out of Kia.
Yeah, just pointing that out here.
As you see there, Okeke, Michael absolutely kicking the rear around the left-hander there as he gets now into the snail section. Yellow flags are out for, I believe, Risky, who is slow on his in-lap. Will he compromise Okeke here? He may have just about got away with that one, but probably not where Michael wanted him to be. But Michael, who hasn't used much battery on this flying lap, only down to 60% now, so he's burning it on his way down to the hairpin, slowing down. Can he hit the apex? Yes, he can, but it's a little bit too much apex, and yeah, it causes you to put a little bit extra steering lock on, and that's going to compromise you for the next 2 corners because you have to scrub off speed. And Michael off the track. Can he get away with it to set a time? Yes, he can. But it's only a 51.7, a second slower. It probably would have been faster than Risky had he not had that issue on the final corner of that lap. So now over to Barry Baldwin as Bazza out on circuit running it's a bit of a classic style livery. This Jaguar green, red, white. It's almost Jaguar-esque. I'm sure it's a Jaguar-esque.
Did you say that last week as well?
Yeah, is it the same livery? I mean, I'm sure it's a Welsh livery, but it does.
I'm not entirely sure, but green and red does look familiar.
Yeah, it's probably a Wales livery, but it does look Jaguar-esque.
No, I agreed. It is. It's a nice looking livery. I also like his helmet. The white, black, and red really works.
Yeah.
On that helmet.
No, I can go for that as well.
Through the snail section, as you call it, where Sully indeed was a bit naughty towards Mr. Okeke. And if we're looking at split times, this could be a pretty decent lap if he managed to nail those final 2 corners. As he goes towards the hairpin, brakes a bit on the curb, which might be not the smartest idea, but he still managed to get it rotated on the power, a little bit squirrely, and towards the final left-hander, where, as you pointed out earlier, you don't want to run wide, which is easier said than done. He managed to keep it on the track, straight towards the line, and he is 8 tenths quicker. Well done, Bazza.
Yeah, good lap there from Bazza. What can we see from... we've got Scott now coming onto the back straight, and, he actually managed to come away from Monaco with a little bit more pride than he did the season before on his debut in the Kia series. But what can Scott do as he comes towards the hairpin, running it's like a metallic red and gold style. It was not quite Lightning McQueen because he's running the metallics, but it doesn't look too bad. It's almost somewhat of the style we'll see from Alex Palou in IndyCar this season, running in the Indy Series, which starts, of course, this weekend. I think it is. Is it this weekend or next weekend? I think it's this weekend. Pretty sure it's this weekend at St. Pete. But
next weekend, I believe.
is it next weekend? I'll
because they're testing this weekend.
Oh,
or this week.
Yes, you're very right. So it'll be next weekend. So we've got, of course, the F1 season starting up this week, and of course, IndyCar will be making its return after being shown up somewhat by NASCAR, who have had two pretty cracking opening races as well. So we'll see what they can do to fight back what's been everyone's raving about the Drive to Survive for NASCAR. Apparently it's quite decent. I mean,
that's pretty good.
I can't watch Netflix try and do motorsport anymore. They've killed it with Drive to Survive.
You should give the NASCAR thing a try. It's pretty decent.
Okay, I'll have to. I don't trust them with. I mean, I'm not even. You can pay me to watch the new series of Drive to Survive, but
I'm not paying you to do that.
Up to the line. Here comes Fozzie. It's a 49.4. He goes fastest. I wonder who might go. Well, actually, no. I would say I wonder who's going to go faster. But Leroy's gone for the ultra low downforce setup. If you've noticed, he is currently running out there with no front wing whatsoever.
Very interesting strategy. I'm pretty sure that this would work wonders. Yeah, no. He is a Cup Series champion and a Kia Series champion and a Cup Series C5 driver. So I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. So this must be Paul, absolutely 100%. We can't wait to see him absolutely miss the turning point here. Well, actually managed to slow it down quite well. Not too bad. And this final corner, Olson running wide.
Yeah, this is a multi-time winner in the Cup Series, a former champion, of course, a man that hit the C5. It's a 53.7, washed. He's doing that to try and get himself back into Kia. Don't take any of that at face value. What can Lesty do as he's out there in a very nice looking livery? Do like greens. If you want to impress me with a livery, greens and yellows are all the way to do it. Lesty to the line of 48 flat. Good lap from him.
Don't say.
I'm just seeing what we're getting from Jake. Jake running. Ooh, that was almost around. He's fighting the wheel. Go on, Jake. Get around that corner as he's absolutely power sliding it around the snail to get him onto the back straight. But he does finally wrestle control of the car. But what can he do as he heads down towards the hairpin? As we've got a few more cars on the outlaps. Of course, Robin Border on an outlap. Jacko's just hit his outlap as well. Jake just misses the apex there. It's going to cost you half a second or so if you have to wrestle the car into action on the exits to straighten it up into the final corner. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he can. Up to the line, it's going to be about a 50. It's a 50.288. Currently puts him second row of the grid. Harry Collier is next out. And Harry, who probably should be staying off that curb on the outside there, but is looking as though this season may be one where we see a slight upturn in fortunes. He was getting a little bit more consistent at the end of last season, fighting his way towards sort of top fives, top sixes. He needs to be pushing up towards the podiums now if he is to try and make it into the playoffs. Of course, not having to go via the chase, and of course getting into the all-important Championship 5. So good evening to everyone watching at home. Hopefully you're well. Hope you can hear us loud and clear. You're joining myself, Gareth Hall, and you're joining Yuri Hasalaga, who will be tonight. Yuri Hasalaga, who's just seen Harry Collier go into P3 on circuit. Jess out here in her very nice blue livery, as we decided 2 weeks ago, running probably one of my favourite liveries on the grid, with just colour and shapes everywhere. It's all about colour for me, as much of it on a livery as possible. But what can Jess do? Looks as though she was taking quite easy into the final corner, but it's not going to hurt her because it's a 48.7. So that's actually put her currently and provisionally on the front row. So what do we see from Jacko? So Jacko is currently out there. He's on wet tyres. we've got one driver out on the intermediates. We'll let you guess who that is. As what behind? Are you the last one out, Mr. Hasselager? You must be the last one out. Oh no, sorry, Dan Wheeler's out, isn't he? So he's yet to make his way out of the grid. Jacko, what a crap lap. A 51.3 puts him P8 and right in the middle of the pack. Matt Shepherd and Robin Border both out on their flyers. As we will we'll check in with what they're doing in a second, but I do want to just go on board with Mr. Hasselager for his lap, because we do know, of course, that there's something really in store for this special lap on these intermediate tyres. So let's take you on board with Yuri for his lap here in China, and I'll let you enjoy the sounds. We're just going to ignore the fact that Yuri's still completing his lap here. Of course, that was a lap that Yuri managed to do in the dry, but of course on intermediate tyres. So up to the final corner, there's clearly a time delay, because you would of course see Yuri have gone across the line about 10 seconds ago. But never mind, it was only P10 for him. But what do we see from the early season pace setter, the man that took home an unlikely victory after coming home P2 on circuit in Monaco, but getting gifted the win at the end of it, at the end of the weekend, or the end of the week, I should say? It is, of course, Daniel P. Wheelnut here in only his second race as part of the Jackocar Kia series, and having to make sure that he navigates this Shanghai circuit as carefully as possible. And Dan Price making sure that he makes it around the Snell section as carefully as possible as he exits 13. No DRS, of course, for these guys. Down towards the hairpin at 14. Then you've got two more corners at 15 and 16 to get through before you get to the end. And, it is all about the small errors and the small changes of direction, and it looks as though it's a bit of a scruffy lap here for Dan as he's making his way into the final corner, and it doesn't look as though it's going to light up the timing sheets just yet. No, it's only P7 for him, a 49.765, so it's Leslie that takes pole position, 0.3 of a second ahead of Robin Border, who we missed him coming across the line. It's a really good result there from Jess. Of course, Matt Shepherd, who is he was electric here at the end the race last season, until he got overtaken on the last lap by Danny Quinn for the win. And Shep, who actually stood in the Cup race in Imola last week or the week before, I can't remember which one. So they all blend into one now. But did a very, very good job, and made a real good account for himself there. But end of qualifying, Yuri. How do you think that's gone?
Well, I want to have a word with Marco Andretti because he said, back in Detroit, he nailed the transition, and therefore he gave me some words of advice on what tires to go with, and he was completely wrong, as he was in the Detroit race back then. So, yeah, absolutely livid with him.
Well, it is Lesty that takes pole position, 48.038, 3/10 of a second faster than Robin. Then we've got Jess, Shep, Dustin, Harry, Dan, Bazza, Jake, Sully in P10, Yuri outside 2.8 seconds back, but still out-qualified Jacko. Michael, Scott, Leroy is completely washed, and Thomas Nevitt, who was, of course, the only one that did not manage to set a lap time after going off at the final corner. And whilst we load in, these guys get a chance to set their setups. Let's send you to an ad break.
Getting ready for St. Pete, it's super exciting.
St. Pete really does set the tempo for your year.
It's kind of become that place.
You gotta know when to push, gotta be on the limit when it counts. Don't miss a second of exhilarating action. Get tickets at gpstpete.com.
You alright? Club card?
Oh, yes, safe.
Club card accepted.
No. Oh, don't forget your melon.
Well, welcome back. This is the Jackocar Kia Series. You're joining me, Gareth Hall, in the comms box, and we join for a formation lap. We haven't seen one of these this season, and it's we've got a formation lap here in China for the Kia Series. As well, you see the rain is coming down across the board. What are we looking at? We are very much looking at tyres being intermediates for everyone. Yuri, you're currently circulating in P11, sandwiched between Risky and Jacko. What's the plan off the start?
The plan is to kill everyone between me and first, and leave no survivors. So Sully is the first. I think I'm gonna go around his outside into turn 1 and then take Jake on the inside turn 2.
I think that's totally understandable, to be fair. Completely agree with that. And screw all these Kia losers. Get better. But it will be Lesty from pole. Robin Border, well, looking as though he might be an early season challenger for a C5. That's already, of course, a podium, a pole position and a P2 to open up his account. Lesty needing to get back into winning ways. The man that's allergic to decent results in the Kia Series. Well, he's got a pole position. Can he? Well, he's got to really try and transfer that into being a good result tonight and coming home at least with a handful of points in the top 3-4 positions. Jess, she'll equally be looking for possibly one of her best results in a while in third place. Matt Shepherd, a decent result tonight might kickstart his season once again, because a podium last week might put him into contention with getting through into the playoffs. Of course, these guys don't want to have to go through the chase. It can be, especially whereas the Cup Series is looking as though the chase might be the one that might be the easier one to run through. Down here in Kia, the chase is a cauldron of boiling piss sometimes, with cars crashing and just chaos. So you want to be in the playoffs and giving yourself 4 spots to get into the Championship 5, not the 1. So lining up on the grid, 16 cars, probably about 11 of them that should actually be here. But do we see any novel ways of lining up? Looks as though everyone's pretty vanilla so far. Jess is a little bit off to the left-hand side of her box. I'm expecting to see Mr. Hasselager hopefully reverse into his grid slot. But as Risky tries it. As oh, it's a nice one there from is that Dan or is that Jake? I can't tell. One of them has got themselves a nice run on the outside. But here we go, ready for the lights here in the Jackocar Kia Series 3, 4, 5. Pause. Out, and we're underway here in China for the Grand Prix here. Race 2 of the season with Lesty leading from Robin Border. It's a good start from Lesty, who holds the lead. Do we see anything from Rageman to P2? No, we don't. Matt Shepard has jumped up past Jess into P3 and P4. Harry Coller's dropping up, or is moving up past Dustin, but they're battling for position. As we got Jacko, who's tangled, he's dropping down the field all the way down now to 14th position, so something happening for him. But well, good getaway from the top 3. Justin P4, Dustin P5, Dan Price P6 has just been tagged by Bazza and is now falling down behind Yuri. They're battling away over position. He's on the inside, Yuri on the outside, but of course Yuri, who's missing an end plate, I'm sure he'll tell us all about that in a second. He's going to struggle with turning into some of these corners and in fact just washes out straight across in front of Harry Collier. His brother Leroy has moved up. Of course, Leroy doing his qualifying with no front wing whatsoever. Leroy already P8.
Yeah, if only I had a line of connection to Leroy now, so he can tell me what it's like driving without a front wing. No, Jake was a bit earlier on the brakes than I anticipated, so I hit the rear of his car, unfortunately, and then because of the turning, lost a bit of braking performance. Anyway, we're all good now. Didn't manage to get Sully around the outside in the end. Had to get him on traction into exit turn 3.
It will come. It'll come as Rageman is behind Lesty. Ignore these, as you can see on stream, ignore the timings because they are definitely desynced a little bit here, because that isn't a second gap that Lesty has across the line. As it's been 0.1 of a second supposedly between Rageman and Shep, but it's now 1 minute and 46 seconds. So gotta love F1 things. But behind Jess is still holding off Dustin for P4. Leroy now up to P6, so it's been a great opening lap for the man that shouldn't be anywhere near this league. He's got up past Bazza now. Dan Price is still holding the fort, with Risky now trying to go around the outside of Yuri, and Yuri getting a massive tank snapper on the exit there of turn 2 and turn 3. Risky, however, not deciding to send it. He doesn't need to, because there's a breaking point in there somewhere for Yuri. Risky's on the outside, Yuri's on the inside. This could only end in tears, because Risky's going to try and hang around the outside. Does he get the job done? Yes, he does. Yuri, you don't quite seemingly have the traction to fight with Risky with his full complement of front wing.
Yeah, nah, that's absolutely, it's massive move from Sully, overtaking a car which has no front downforce. Really well done on him. He deserved that.
There's Leroy doing Leroy things. He's moved up now past Dustin into P5. So I'm expecting Leroy to win this race by a good 20 or 30 seconds, because he's carving his way through the field now. The gap at the front has opened up a little bit, as Rageman is still sitting behind Lesty, but Lesty's still holding that lead. As Matt Shepard around about half a second behind these guys. Jess, well, once the times have undesynced themselves a little bit, it could be, it says it's 2.7 seconds, it may just be around that, but she will have Leroy grinding on her gearbox, well, you've got to imagine within the next lap or so. But lap 3 has started, so I would say we're expecting to see cars in the box, but I'm not expecting anyone in just yet. You kind of want to use these tyres as much as possible. Of course, the benefit goes to the Jokers tonight, who only have to make one stop. And if you're Matt Lester, pole position and a Joker is exactly where you want to be. Paul McGuinness will be absolutely seething that he's missing this race tonight, because this is where you'd want to be with a wet race, only having to make one stop. It's all about keeping these intermediate tyres to last, as Dan and Bazza battle out over 7th and 8th position. Equally, OKK and Thomas Nevitt are side by side down for 14th and 15th position. Yuri, an update on your wing damage, holding off Harry at the moment.
Harry is a pussy. He should have sent it like 2 or 3 corners ago, at least. Like, I'm struggling so much, he just can't get by. He's too kind. Oh, I'm stuck on the curb.
And that's allowing Harry up the inside. And and who's the pussy now? Around the outside goes Yuri. He's going to try and hold it in there, and all that's going to open the door for Jake. And Jake, who, without his full traction, isn't quite as quick as he used to be in intermediate conditions, where he used to be... Oh, I remember the race in France where it was like men versus
we don't
boys.
mention that race. We know.
No, we don't. But here comes Yuri. He's going to decide to reclaim the position as up in front. Bazza and Risky are battling out over position as Harry goes deep to allow Yuri some space. Yuri has to take tighter line. That, of course, slows you down on exit and means that Harry can hold on to the place. I was thinking... Is it time for you to pit, Mr. Haslager? Get rid of these tyres, but also get yourself a new front wing. So, up at the front, we've got Matt Lester, and we've still got Robin Border split by half a second. Matt Shepherd now dropping back off these guys, 1.8 seconds, and also our first driver of the evening to pick up a time penalty. 3 seconds added to Shep's time at the end of the race. Jess still holding P4, dropping back now to 4.5 seconds off the back of Matt Shepherd. She's still got Dustin sitting within the window of her. I'd imagine with Justin Leroy in, looking to get a massive undercut on everyone else in front of him.
Yeah, about that, I just wanted to jump in on that. Imagine being like 5 seconds left quicker than the entire field, and then already taking a pussy strategy.
He has done as well. He has taken He's taken the Cup Series shithouse strategy.
I'm so glad that he just showed that he hasn't changed a bit since he left Kia Series.
He also, the problem is that Leroy will celebrate this win as much as he celebrated his win in Imola on his Joker in Cup a few seasons ago. As Basta now on the back of Risky. Well, he was on the back of Risky until he decided to head to downtown Shanghai for a shopping visit there. He's back on track, but well, what looked like could have been an overtake is now going to have to wait a little bit longer. Scott and Jacko on each other. This is a race that we haven't seen frequently, as the two work colleagues side by side. Scott's got the inside line, Jacko's got the outside line. What's Jacko going to do? He's going to have to run. Is he going to try the switchback? Is Scott going to run deep? No, he actually hugs the inside apex and does it so much that he exits in about 6th gear and with no traction falls back behind Jacko, who, after falling to the back at the start, is not really made too much headway to get further forward, as Risky into the box to make his first of 2 mandatory stops. And at 5 of 28, you're joining me, Gareth Hall, in the commentary box for the Chinese Grand Prix, race 2 of the season for Jackocar Kia Series. You can find me on Twitter or X at GT2_driving, and of course you can find out more about Jacko by going to @Jackocar on Twitter for the main account. That's the Cup Series, and @Jackocar2, that's the number 2 for the Kia Series, and find out more about the I would say the feeder series, but it's been feeding Cup a load of trash. We've got currently Dustin, and now Dan is now up into P6 and starting to close in on this little battle that Jess has got behind her with Dustin Rolko, and now Dan Price in P6. Bazza 3.7 seconds back. He's got Harry Collier, now Jake for company as well. Scott still sitting on Jacko's ass, something that happens quite frequently. Tries to go around the outside of him. That's not going to happen, Scott, there, because you don't want to be out on that, but you can turn back in as Jacko brake tests him and in fact opens the door for Leroy, who's not only going to get one, he's also going to get both of them before they've even hit halfway down the straight. Well, good move there from...
sorry.
No, feel free to jump in whenever you want.
Because, like, I just wanted to jump in now that you've done rambling on and on and on and on. Cheers for the shout out for my Twitter, by the way. First of all. Second of all, really glad that these Cup guys showed how great they are at their strategy game.
Yeah. As
Pussy strategy, let's go!
You can find Yuri at Speedway Racer on Twitter.
Speed underscore. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Why do you even bother?
I've got it written somewhere. I don't have the notes up. I know my own. And I'm more important than you.
That is true. No, there's no denying that. You are, after all, the fastest guy of team speed.
Exactly. As Ben Shaw tried to claim in the cup chat that there's a team speed A and a team speed B, and that I was the fastest in team speed B, which is slander, and I hope that man loses his crown rapidly. To be fair, last time we were at Portugal, he was humbled. So him and Kieran can
So were you.
get in the bin. No, I let it happen. There's a difference between letting it happen and of course being fast or not. But well, being fast is something that Robin Border has done so far this season, because he's now caught up to Lesty and he's thinking about a move. He's going to have to break late. Last of the late breakers here. Rageman to the inside. Lesty to the outside. Who gets the traction on exit? They're still side by side into the final corner. Well, this is going to be tears if they both turn in. It is Lesty that turns in. He cuts right across Robin, who switches back and gets back underneath him and takes the lead as Shep picks up his second 3-second time penalty, as we've got a yellow flag for Mr. Y Racer.
That is indeed for me. I love this track in the rain.
You seem to be missing a part of your front wing again, Yuri.
No, I meant to do that.
Oh,
See,
did
there's
they-
a lot of left-hand corners here.
Did they not
and it
just
provides more
they just
straight
didn't
line
change it in the blame it they didn't change it in the pit lane?
Yeah, absolutely, because that was the left side and now it's the right side. But yeah, nah, they didn't change it.
That's just a visual glitch.
Yeah.
So Yuri now making a case for a return to Kia full time, as he's currently being outraced by Jacko, Scott, and various other useless drivers in this tier. As Lesty, well, even though he's been overtaken, hasn't been dropped by Rageman. But interesting to see what he does here. Of course, he's only got to make one stop, so he does need to make these tyres last. Shep is catching them, though. It's 1.9 seconds. He had dropped out to 2.5. He's taken half a second off these guys in the last lap or so. But of course, he's now sitting on 6 seconds time penalties, which I don't quite understand where you're picking up 6 seconds here already, unless it's literally the final corner every single lap. But as Jacko and Risky battle over position, as Jacko gets passed by Mr. Lewis, and Jacko slowing down because he saw Sully with his speed gun hanging out the window of his car, decided to obviously let him go past. As they head off into the distance, the rain lights flickering, as Dan Price now on the back of Jess. So Jess, who's stuck it out. Of course, we've only seen a quarter of the grid so far in. Fozzie has cleared, so Dustin has cleared Jess. Jess sticking out. Does she dive into the pit lane? No, she doesn't. They're holding out as long as possible and trying to make sure they get to effectively to the first stage unscathed, because the first stage is coming up as he looks at his notes. It was lap 6 was the first one, lap 15 is the second one. So lap 6 was Matt Lester, and it looks as though Rageman may stay out, or does he come in? It's going to be a big call here. Who plays for playoff points and who decides to play it safe on tyres, as Jess once again under threat into the exit of the first sector by Dan Price, and Harry Collier 3.7 seconds back. Leroy clears Bazza. Bazza is currently driving well deep there, so is that has Leroy let him back through? Because I think Bazza might have just sent it back on him and compromised both of them. Leroy's trying to take a interesting line to go around the outside here. That's a lovely move from Leroy to get around the outside of turn 8 into turn 9, and the Cup Series C5 debutant last season somehow manages to get through the man that I don't think has ever been to a Championship 5 in Kia. So as we've got a yellow flag out now for Scott Hayes. So Scott in the wall, in the gravel. Does he have a front wing? It looks as though he's just about got away with it. He was nosed into the wall, but back on circuit. And, well, we should be able to get back underway. And we do go green. Just a localised green there. But it drops Scott to the back of the field. We've got the Kia Series gaps opening up across the field now, as we've got a disconnection there for last time out's race winner. So the man in P6 is now big old disconnection. Can he get back in? I'm sure he'll be trying as Leroy moves up past Jake, who makes his first of his 2 pit stops. So Leroy back up to P9 now. He's got OKK 3 seconds up the road. Lap 9 of 28, so we are around about a third of the way through this one. And Yuri, well, down in P14, it's I can attest the driver comms is not the easiest thing when you're trying to concentrate and there's someone talking in your ear the entire time. But do you want to give us your assessment of what you've seen so far?
A lot of water, a lot of lack of skills, a shit track. If I look at the minimap, yeah, as you mentioned, field spread, which is neat. Looks like the battle for P2 and 3 is pretty decent from what it looks like, and then down there, at least there's some battling. And there's Leroy carving his way through the field, so that is at least some excitement for you, I guess. In here, it's great. I'm loving life. Really wish I didn't take up this driver commentator role and I was just with you there, because it seems to be more enjoyable, to be fair.
I mean, no, not really. Nothing's happened so far. OKK is now on the back of Harry, so I'm not quite sure where that gap came from, but there's a change for position as Rageman into the box. So Robin Border getting off of those tyres on lap 10. Of course, he's got 2 stops to make. Lesty has surely got this one in the bag if he can hold on to these tyres for, what, another 4 laps. We've just seen Harry diving into the pit lane as well, so he's in for his first stop. Leroy will jump pretty much all of them as he will now move up to, I think, P5. OKK is next up for him. Oh, so Robin Border, who's on his way out now, is actually up there. So Leroy, after coming in, 6 laps ago, is going to come out... well, when the timing screens update themselves, around about 3 seconds behind the leaders. So Leroy very much in the conversation for at least fighting for P2, if not possibly for the win with Lesty. We've got a yellow flag out there for one of the green cars. Well, there's only 2 of them, and one of them isn't Yuri, so it must have been... Is it for Matt Shepherd? I think it was for Matt Shepherd that's had an issue. So, yeah, it is. So, he's had a half spin coming through the second sector there. It's lost him 5 seconds of time. And that will most likely drop him behind Leroy when he comes in and makes his stop. You've got to think within the next few laps. So, unfortunate for the man that finished in P2 and almost won here last time we raced here in China, with, of course, Danny Quinn taking the win on the last lap ahead of Matt Shepherd. That would have been Shep's first win, of course, after he was gifted one. He dives into the pit lane this time around, takes the Lewis Hamilton line into the entry as he gets away with the fact there's no gravel there, but gets it slowed down. Jess, equally, she's in as well, so she dives in. Robin staying out. OKK, he's in. So these guys are starting to decide that lap 11 is the final stage that they should be coming in to come off of these tyres that they started on. The only ones that have stayed out so far that have not pitted are Dan Price and, of course, Lesty, who is on his one-stop joker for the season. As we've got changes for position with cars filtering out the pit lane. Dustin gets ahead of Risky. Yellow flag is for a slow-moving car exiting the pit lane, but they're all getting started. As OKK is now filtered out behind Harry. So what can Risky do here? So I was just going to get through this weird pause glitch they always have when you're trying to scroll through without having to flick up and down with L2 and R2, which, as you know, I always love. As, well, 11 of 28. 18 seconds is the lead for Lesty. That will be enough, give or take, for, well, it's 21, I think 22 seconds is a pit stop around. 22 and a half seconds if you've got a good in lap. Of course, wet's going to make it a little bit slower, so make that 23 4 seconds or so for a pit stop. So that means with Lesty's time, he'll come up around about 5 seconds behind Rageman. But of course, everyone else has to make a pit stop. So Rageman needs to do some serious driving in these next, 3 laps or so to try and bridge the gap a little bit to close back in on Rageman. Leroy P3 now, Daniel Price in P4. Matt Shepherd down to P5 after that spin that's dropped him a couple of positions. Of course, Dan yet to make his stop, so that will promote Matt Shepherd back up. With fastest lap there for the man that's just made his stop. That is Robin Board, of course, the 44.860. Into the box does come the Monaco race winner. Can he get it slowed enough? He can. No speeding penalties just yet, which is surprising for Kia. Jess now on the back of Risky, and this would be humbling for Mr. Risk if he gets overtaken by Jess. And of course, Jess on fresh tyres, Risky boxed and tried to do the cup strategy. And at the moment, Yuri, it's not paying off.
Depends. Where's Leroy?
Leroy is P3. Risky's P6, but he's about to get overtaken by Jess. So unless Risky's got some side or possibly some body damage, Jess is. This is why I'm going to get frustrated with Jess. This is where she needs to do her. We always tell her to get her elbows out, and in fact she doesn't need to because Risky gets it all wrong on exit of turn 7, and Jess is through up into P6. So Risky can now deal with Jake. So yeah, well done, Jess. You got the overtake without actually having to do an overtake. But Risky now with Jake Warrior behind him. And Jake, of course, multi-time winner here in Kia. He's been to the Championship 5. And he's going to get past Risky, who's, well, holding the inside line. Jake's going to have to run to the outside. Risky's trying to hold on to it, but he's now gone from the inside line to the outside line, and he loses the position. He gets shoveled out wide, and he's not just going to lose one position, he's going to lose 2 positions there to Harry Collier and to OKK. Risky drops down from P6 to P10 in less than half a lap. Is there, and it doesn't look like there's any damage on the car that I can see. I think that Mr. Lewis is just a slow boy, but Harry is trying to battle away with OKK. That's getting pretty tasty between the pair of them. Shep does the fastest lap of 44.626, showing that he can be quick if he actually stays within track limits. As OKK follows Harry Collier off track as they take the NASCAR line through the final corner, as they cross the start-finish line to commence their 13th lap and tour around this Shanghai circuit. And the circuit designed to look like the symbol for Shang in Chinese. Of course, one of the Herman Tilke drones, one of the very early ones. Back in the what was Shanghai back in the early 2000s, early 2002, 2003, something like that. It's around then. Might even been a bit earlier than that. Always mix it around with, KK getting on the power way too early there, and the back end did not want to point in a straight line. He was lucky to hold on to that one, but he's still on the back of Harry and doing an admirable job so much to stay within 0.2 of a second, even with the back end of that car looking as though it didn't want to be pointing in the same direction as the front end, as Harry Collier goes a little bit wide. Equally, OKK following the line through and skating the curbs and getting caught up, and as soon as you get on a wet curb, especially here where the curb's quite high, hits the barge boards and hits the plank underneath, and you tend to grind along it like it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. But okay, onto the back straight, no DRS of course, so it's all going to be on slipstream and battery. He's down the inside, and that should be OKK now up into P8 past Harry. He can now try and close in on Jake. Does Harry try and come back at him with an under and over? No, lovely inside line there from OKK. Holds off the charge back as we've got the battle now starting to brew with Jake closing in on Jess for P6. OKK now 1.4 seconds behind. Harry is going to have to try and stay with him, but of course without DRS it's all about consistency for these guys. Yuri, how's your TT session going?
Yeah, great practice here on how not to run with a broken end plate. My advice is get rid of this front wing as soon as possible, which I'm not going to do because we're very close to the pit window, but If you are ever in a situation where you've got front wing damage in the beginning of your stint, just swap the wing around. DT with Yuri. Here you go.
Yes. Wheel knowledge with Hasselager. As
See, this is why you're the better guy and you deserve the shout out on the Twitter and stuff. Because you've got the names going on.
As Yuri's down in 14th position, it's been a woeful race for him and Jacko. Jacko down, I don't know what he's doing down in 15th position. As God, OKK, I swear hasn't driven a corner in a straight line at all.
My man.
Yeah, honestly, it's. I put in. I need to bring in the meme for the Tokyo Drift music to put overlay over the top. We've got a yellow flag out there, a localized yellow for Risky, who's somehow pointing in a.
Safety.
Go on, Risky. Go on, Risky. He's gonna get it green again. He's lost it in a straight line. So, are you Pete Knighton in disguise? For Mr. Lewis, who I'm just looking, he doesn't look as though there's no visible damage anywhere on the car. Unless
I'm pretty sure he just wanted to wait up for me to have a battle.
Well, that would be nice of him. He's got to drop back another 11 seconds to do so.
Shut up.
You better get your ass in gear. Let's go on board with a competent Hasselager. Leroy in P4 is now 1.2 seconds behind Matt Lester, who's made his one and only stop. So Lesty doesn't really want to deal with Leroy at this stage. Leroy, of course, has done 11 laps on these tyres. Risky makes sure that his race goes from bad to worse. And in fact, I'm just going to check in with Mr. Risk because he's now really holding back. Does he want a friend? I think he might want a friend because he was.
So does Jacko, by the way.
Oh, for God's sake, you two! Right, that's Scott that's gone around. Jacko, is he gonna? No, Jacko's back on the throttle. He's just decided to bin Scott in the wall and get on with it. So we've got 4 plebs at the back of this one that don't know how to drive a car. Right, let's go back to Dustin Rolko, who's actually on the back of Leroy and not far off him. Of course, Dustin a much nicer tyre advantage, 5 laps versus 11 laps of Leroy. Leroy defends very early. Leroy defending early from a Kia driver here. As he blocks the inside line, takes the apex and stops Dustin. Yeah, clearly. As this is a man that has won a race more. When was the last time Leroy won a race? He won last season in. Where did he win?
Saudi.
He did win in Saudi. So yeah.
Beat me by like half a tenth.
Yes, he did. So yeah, Leroy. Dustin probably not far. Actually, no, I think Dustin won his Spain. I think last season. I think was it Dustin was at Hungary. One of the two. It was. I can't remember which one it was. One
Hungary.
Yeah, there we go. So I was opening race of the season. I think was Hungary. Something around then. Yeah, I can't remember. It was one of the two. It was like
very early, at least.
Very early in the season. Who cares? It was a season that was won by an absolute. Let's play fill in the gap. Who won last season?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Let's think of. Feel free to drop it in the comments. What the name of the person, or not of the person that won last season. 10 points to the most creative name. So Fozzie now still sitting on the back of Leroy. I've said it on stream before, and Kyle would drop it in quite frequently. So, Fozzie's still on the back of Leroy. Leroy's not been able to. A little bit of a tank slapper there from Fozzie. That's a bit of a respite for Leroy. It was 0.4 of a second. That's now up to 1.2. So Leroy can get a little bit of a break. Lesty is breaking away from these guys now. So. With Leroy on these 12-lap-old hard tyres, that gap that was 1 second at the exit of the pit window is now 7.7. So Lesty, as long as he can keep it in a straight line, is going to win this an absolute canter. Rageman leading Matt Shepherd in P2. Lesty fastest lap of the race at 43.758. Into the box comes El Hasselager. And, well, he's going to have to slow right down here because that was a very, quick run in. He's trying to clearly try and beat his brother out. As there is the effect of the Hasselager curse, as one driver does something decent and the other driver does something as ridiculous as cutting.
That's a thing?
It does tend to be that if one of you has a good race, everyone has a bad race. There's Risky, by the way. You'll catch
This
him
is
up
a
in a
speed
second.
curse, I
He's
guess.
kind of sitting there waiting for you. As Thomas Nevitt retires from the race. Oh, we're going to get a VSC. Into the box comes Bazza. That's a perfect use of his time. But Bazza is into the box to serve a...
Maybe Thomas can say hello to Make there.
Oh,
For season 1.
Is that a safety? It is a safety car that's now making his way out. So we've got a safety car that I tell you what that is going to do is with a safety car now out is that everyone will be able to make a pit stop if they so wish, and Matt Lester is going to have to get to the end effectively on the same strategy as everyone else from P3. So
you wonder now, do you want to risk the Joker and just, follow... I think it's Shep ahead, follow Shep in, and fight on equal terms, or jump one car and risk 5 extra playoff points?
Yeah, it's tricky. 2 laps old is Lesty's tyres. So Leroy's in, Bazza's in. Surely you're coming in. Why didn't you come in last lap?
Fresher tires.
Okay. So
lose a lot of time, so...
Yeah, you've got a front wing to make. Risky is driving around like he's on keyboard at the moment. He's been... I don't know what he was doing on the inside of the corner. Oh, it was... Yeah, honestly, he was just on the inside of the corner. It doesn't look like there's any damage. You can't tell anyway. Not
emotional talent.
Yeah. So as Kai's in the comments, why are you not racing? Weirdly, Kai just chooses what races he's going to turn up for and says he's not here. But it's just Risky is clearly run to a delta because he's come to a full stop for a good 3 seconds there. Sullivan, look in the top right-hand corner of your screen. If it's red, you need to be slow. Right, into the box comes Dustin, Jess, OKK, Jake, Harry, Dan. Right, Leroy jumps all of them. He's now up into P4 on the circuit. So Lesty stays out. 3 lap old tyres. Everyone else, brand new tyres. Apart from all the guys that haven't even made it to the pit lane yet.
Got all the time in the world. I'm fine. Might even stay out another lap.
Yeah. So we'll have to find out with Bert Mylander making his way around the circuit, trying to pick up as many people as possible, and really, once again, driving as. Did you want to? Did you get a corner cut there for deciding to not bother with half the corner as Risky tries to beat him in?
No, not happening.
We wonder. I want you to be teammates. Oh, that's such a shame.
That would be so fucking funny too.
So, as we wonder how Risky got damaged, probably doing things like that. As he onto a set of, I would have thought slick tyres for Risky, but he's decided to go for some intermediates.
Jacko and Scott not pitting?
Yeah, Jacko and Scott decided to stay out. Dunno.
They really went for the one more lap thing.
I mean, yeah, there is quite a gap, seeing as the safety car is now approaching the final corner, and you're just getting to turn 2. We're in for. Sorry, I'll bring you back to the action. Don't worry, you've not missed anything. Really haven't missed anything. So whilst we are doing that, I'll just show you what's going on.
We're under a safety car.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's true. It doesn't really work if you're not here, though.
Oh well, I'm kind of here.
No, we have got the hot lap, which I will. I've got a whole little asset for it to put a clock in the corner and time you. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. So when you're back, we'll introduce you all to the hot lap. So it was meant to come in this time around. Of course, when the safety car comes out, one of the 2 of us will take it in turns. We'll have to review an entire race weekend of a race from history.
A weekend?
A whole weekend. It's not just a race.
Oh shit.
So So, yeah, it was due to start this week with Yuri taking on the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix and me taking on the 2005 US Grand Prix. Of course, it's not just F1, it's going to be all categories from all years. The fact that we put out for a public vote and there were two very quite famous F1 races when there was the likes of the 92 Macau touring car race.
93.
I think it was 90. Well, whatever. I mean, the fact that that wasn't chosen, but you went for a race that is quite frequently talked about anyway. Would
be funny to hear you rant about it though, so I'll give him that.
Yeah. So we'll find out from these guys is what they're waiting for with what. Let's just see the calendar for next week is Portimao, but standings would take you on to them, of course. Daniel Price has advanced already. 5 playoff points for taking the win as well. 4 for Robin Border. He did take home the stages and the fastest lap, I think it was, but of course didn't win on his Joker, so doesn't get his name added to the list of Joker wins. No Florian Meyer this week. Matt Shepherd, well, it looks as though he's on for another decent haul of points, maybe with that 6-second time penalty. It might hurt him a little bit. Matt Lester started on 8 points tonight. Well, he's hoping to come home with a full complement of them, but he's got to hold off the likes of Robin Border, Fozzie, Leroy, who've all got brand new tyres on. Lesty 4 laps on those intermediates, and then a whole heap of other drivers out there that want some decent results. But we'll have to see if these guys can actually put in a decent shift for the rest of the race. We've got 10 laps left to go. One of those will be under the safety car. We're still waiting for Yuri to catch up to.
It's not just me.
I mean, shortly you're going to be the only. Everyone else is almost on the next lap. You're into the box comes Jacko, and into box will come Scott. So I imagine they're sitting in Tweedledee and Tweedledum's party, talking and trying to be smart. However, they've got to catch up to the pack, and by the time they exit the pit lane, the pack will probably be maybe at turn 10, and I don't think they're catching them. And in fact, they're teammates as well. So Scott's going to get Scott's going to get held in the pit lane a little bit there.
Yes.
So brilliant tactics from the pair of them, as or they might just get away with this one. Scott is going to be hurt a little bit more by it, as safety car is now rounding his way through the second sector and now coming into turn 9, turn 10. So it's maybe not what they want to do with getting on the power, but back at the front, safety car will come in this lap. So there you go. It will now become Matt Lester who, speed this one up, Lesty. Make sure that Jacko doesn't catch up. That would be funny. Just have a decent pace. As long as you don't go, you can keep your pace semi decent. Yeah, exactly. So and straight line the final few corners as well. So
which corners do you want a straight line on this track?
You can give it a go. You must be able to do a speed hop like you can in what you've got. What tracks can we speed hop at? You can speed hop at Bathurst on iRace. You can speed hop at Portimao. But
have you, by the way, seen the video I shared about a Formula 4 race there? Which someone, an iRacing Formula 4 race, which someone just decided to take the pit entry line and therefore win the race.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. It looks as though these guys have just about managed that to perfection because Lesty's so slow. So Lesty is going to be restarting this one. There is a tyre advantage of 3 laps for Rageman. So let's see. Rageman, well, he got slammed with a penalty last week for jumping too early. Will Matt Lester take this one a little bit more carefully just to make sure he doesn't go too early? So DRS line is the time you can go, any time from now, and it's off and underway. Good restart there from Matt Lester. Kind of caught Rageman off guard a little bit. Behind, Matt Shepherd and Fozzie battling away. Leroy, no real movement from him. In fact, he's got Jess not too far behind. OKK trying to go down the inside of Jess. going into turn 2. Nice move there from OKK, but will become the outside line. Can he sweep around? Yes, he can. He's going to get the traction surely on Jess. Yellow flag localised is out, and we're under a VSC once again because around is Matt Shepherd from P3, and without a front wing and into the wall, just about gets away with that, but a VSC out. It doesn't look as though that's going to be upgraded because there's nothing on circuit to suggest it would be, so that might call curtains for the end of Shep's race, which is unfortunate. Unless we see another safety car, he will need to box. We'll be going green again shortly, and well, Matt Shepherd. It was all coming together so well, wasn't it? As we're back green, Shep's all over the place. Well, there's cars scattering here as Risky has decided that he's going to wait until lap 21 to races. He's tapped the inside of Bazza as they're going around turn 11. Bazza's off the track and Risky down the inside. Well, that was all very friendly. As up in front we've got almost 3 wide as Jake, Harry, Yuri somehow in 9th position, but of course he's got that penalty. Leroy is up to P4, OKK up to P5, but with a penalty. So it's all about keeping it on the island for the next 6.5 laps. And currently the battle for the lead is Rageman, who's got the jump ahead of Leslie, so that changed position earlier on in the lap. Leslie's trying to go back down the inside of him, but it's not happening. Will Robin Border try to get the win back that he had stolen from him, he thought, at the end of Monaco, and put his name back into the race winning category, something that we've not seen him do for a long time. But Leslie P2, Fozzie now not far behind, so Dustin Rolko in P3, Leroy P4, but not really putting too much pressure on these guys, as he's in fact got Michael OKK for close company in P5, so OKK actually more of a threat to Leroy than Leroy is to Dustin at the moment.
Up to Michael.
Nice little battle here for OKK, who's right on the gearbox of Leroy. In fact, he's almost bump drafting him up the straight as they get into the braking zone. Leroy's going to go a little bit deep, try to brake later than Michael. Will Michael try and get the run out? Of course, it's all about lining him up. Don't get on the throttle too early, Michael. Line him up, line him up. Nice exit there, right in the tracks. He just moves out of the slipstream to get some fresh air. But of course, Leroy is burning battery like nothing else. He's in fact burnt so much he sent it on Dustin into the hairpin. He's going to go super deep, and it's going to lose him the position back surely to Dustin. Michael OKK is right on the back of him as well, trying to go around the outside. This is going to be a bold move. Michael's going to switch back, go down the inside, and he makes Leroy Hasselager look like an absolute chump as he goes down the inside and takes P4.
Well, I just played it safe and got absolutely dive bombed by Sully.
I wouldn't expect anything different.
It is Sully after all.
As
like you said, he's so blind for a move whenever there's an opportunity, so I'll just return the favour.
Leroy, a little bit of needle in there of OKK, tried to just push him around the exit of turn 3. Michael wasn't having any of that, as Leroy's fighting for his position in team speed here, because we've been fighting to get Michael over and swap him over for Pete for a while.
That's not fair on Leroy. Yeah, I was about to say. On Kieran and Pete, they're up for trade.
Well, no, we trade Pete for free. I take.
Yeah, courtesy.
Well, Pete has been making a habit of crashing into speed drivers, so I think he's basically signed for ART anyway. So he's now in P5, Jess P6, Jake is P7, Harry Collier P8, Dan Price in P9. Then we've got Risky somehow with a. Well, I would say a wayward Yuri behind, because that car didn't want to point in the straight line, and he's lost a position to Bazza in the process. And Yuri now down to 12th position. And what happened to you? You're a Cup Series winner.
Once.
Well,
on the technicality.
Well,
thank you, Corey. By the way,
we can take it away if you want.
No, it's fine.
I think I finished in P2, maybe. Or was it Jordan?
No.
Oh, it was Jordan P2 and I finished
Yeah.
P3. Oh, well, Jordan's not here anymore, so I'll claim P2,
He
P3.
was then, so...
No, I don't think it works like that. I think it's people that stay here, they get promoted.
No.
Lap 24 of 28, sorry, is Rageman, who's now extended that gap out between himself and Lesty to 1.5 seconds. Lesty looks as though, in his attempt to stick to the Joker, that it's going to come back and haunt him. It's now 1.7 seconds, and those tyres that were already 4 laps older are going to be feeling much older than that in a few laps' time when they get towards the end of this race, when Fozzie 6 laps, OKK 6 laps, Leroy 7 laps. Will Matt Lester be able to hold on to the position? As well, Shep, fastest lap of the race of 43.0. That's great. Doesn't really help you if you're down in 15th position. Of course, he will take a playoff point for it, so there is merit in doing it. But well, probably not the position that he wanted.
Really helped him since he's in the playoffs now.
Yeah, exactly. As Lesty gets that exit wrong on the exit of turn 8 and loses not only 1 but 2 positions, drops from P2 to P4. So really poor exit there from Matt Lester. And is this the tyres saying no thank you? 9 laps old. Of course, we saw Pitters around the sort of like 9 to 11 laps. He's going to have to do another 4.5 on these, as a yellow flag is out for Mr. Lewis, who is trying to point in the right direction, but it's the same incident we saw that brought out a localised yellow earlier on in the race, and that's actually promoted Yuri up, who's going to send it down the inside of Bazza. Bazza, does he give him the room? Because Bazza tends to not offer up too much racing room at any point ever, but Yuri kind of flopping around on his gearbox at the moment. Does he think about a move? He's used half his battery. He's on the button. Push to pass, push to pass, push to pass. And he's up as Risky is in to... no, he's not. I thought he was in, but in fact he's just power... But he's got... It looks as though he's got the left side tyres on brake and the right side are just driving, because he's just sliding down the main straight. It's the second time this race that he's lost it out the final corner and just power slid his way down the main straight. As OKK now up to P3, but of course with that time penalty, so that would promote Matt Lester back up. Leroy still not really hassling these guys. A second behind Matt Lester, as... once again, looks as though unfortunately Dan Price has had a disconnection. He's down in P9, so Yuri, if you get a shift on, that might give you a free position.
Trying, mate.
As,
Only way I can win positions, to be fair.
As OKK is going to bemoan this 3-second time penalty he's got, because at the moment he's looking as though he's going to pass Fozzie for P2, because it's getting close as Risky's gone again. I think we're a little bit too late for a safety car here. I'm just gonna say I think he's doing this on purpose. There we go, driving slowly, letting these guys go. He must have damage of some sort, because we know he's bad, but he's not that bad. Well, in theory he's not that bad, but well, OKK back at the front of this one, chasing Dustin for P2. The lead is now extended to 3 seconds. Robin Border looks as though, after last week, as Risky's gone again. Either of those tyres are... I don't know what his tyre temps are on, but they're not wanting to work. But, well, 26 to 28 done. Marco OKK, Dustin Rolko is the closest battle on the circuit. We've also got Bazza and Yuri close for company. Jess is now sitting quite close behind Jake. They've been battling. I'm sure. As,
he's hit my gearbox twice, mate.
Well, that's just that's Bazza Racing. That is. It's
Fair.
Welsh style. You see it from Jamie Numbers as well in the Cup Series. As Dustin Rolko going a little bit wide there. That's going to open the door for Michael, who's seemingly enjoying these a little bit better, and in fact he enjoys them so much he tags the rear end of Dustin as Risky's done a Lewis Hamilton into the pit lane, and he's in the wall. Is he without a front wing. We'll come back to that in a bit. No, he is going to come into the pit lane. I'm sure we'll see in a second that Mr. Risk has left the race, because surely, unless he's going to go for a fastest lap, I don't know how he can, because there's seemingly something wrong with that car. OKK is so much quicker than Dustin, and he's just cannot get past as Bazza gets a 3-second time penalty. But what this is doing with Dustin defending so hard is it's bringing Lesty and Leroy into the fight. So Leroy's going to go down the inside of Matt Lester, and they're almost 3 wide into the hairpin. Lesty's having to brake deep, and that's going to cost him some time. Leroy now up into P4, and Lesty with a time penalty after braking late. Around the outside goes OKK, and he finally gets the position ahead of Dustin. But of course he does have that penalty. Dustin's going to use some battery, and Leroy's going to make it 3 wide, going down the main straight and up into P2 goes Leroy Hasselager. Lovely little power move there, and oh, that OKK saw a gap, went for it, and it didn't work, and into the wall as he tries to rejoin the circuit. And again.
Oh, free position.
Right, enough of that. Leroy in P2, Fozzie P3, Lesty now P4, but with a time penalty. OKK, he should have finished on the podium. It should have been a P2. This battle is going to end in tears, surely. Leroy, Dustin, Lesty. Lesty's trying to go around the outside of Leroy. That would be a lovely move there if he can get that one stuck in. But of course, with that time penalty, it's going to hurt him. He's going to have to try and squeeze Leroy into a mistake here, but Leroy decides better of it, lets him go. So Matt Lester now up into P3, lap 27 of 28, and it's going to be a canter to the flag for Robin Border now, who's extended that gap up to 7 seconds ahead of Dustin Rolko, who is doing a very good job of holding on to P2. He's going to get a podium because Lesty's going to lose 3 seconds at the end of this one. Jake, if Jake can close in, he can potentially get on the podium here, because he's not far off. He just needs to, well, worry a little bit less what's happened behind him, as Lesty down the inside of Dustin Rolko. He's going to push Dustin wide. Is that going to compromise Dustin on exit? They're banging wheels and trading paint as they get on exit, as across the line to start the final lap does come Robin. Yellow flags are out for Scott, I think that is, at the final, the exit of the snail chicane. And well, Rageman, Lesty, Leroy and Dustin, but it is this battle for P2 that's been raging for the last few laps. Really nice little battle between the 3 of them. Was 4, unfortunately OKK just drove into the wall when trying to get back underway, but it is still Lesty, but with that 3-second time penalty that will drop off of the podium if it finishes like this. Leroy can sit there. He knows he's going to come home in at least 3rd position. We've got Rageman, who's currently making his way through the 2nd sector. Pretty clean and clear at the moment, if he can just keep it pointing in the right direction. Fozzie, then Jess, who's actually just cleared Jake. So whilst I said Jake could get a move on, he's actually been passed by Jess, who's moved up to P5. So nice move there from her, as Risky's lost it again. He's in trouble of going a lap down at the moment, because he's currently being caught up by the leaders. Leroy, he's got a straight to catch and pass Lesty. He doesn't need to. Fozzie is the most likely one to do so, but it's been this man who's barely been on camera. It's Robin Border, who took a huge win in on his Joker in Monaco. Unfortunately, had it taken away due to jumping the restart a little bit too early. But in this one, since the safety car, he's let it go his own way, got to the front, and it's going to be, what, about an 8-second advantage. Takes the final corner. Robin Border to the line is race 2 winner here in China. Well, it's been a fantastic mini battle between these guys, but it is Lesty that finishes P2 on track. He's going to take home the penalty. It's going to drop him off the podium. It's Leroy P2, Dustin P3, Lesty P4, Jess is going to come home P5. Harry Collier and Jake across the line, split by a 10th of a second. Somehow Yuri's in 8th position. I don't know how that's happened. Can he hold it ahead of Dan Price, who does come home in P9? Bazza P10, he's got penalties. Matt Shepherd has cleared Jacko. They've both got penalties. I think Jacko might just get him on penalties here, as I think he's got 3 seconds less than Matt Shepherd. Yes, he does. So Jacko P11, Shep P12, Scott, after being bumped, barged, pushed, and everything in between off the track by Jacko, is in P13. Risky is right doing whatever risky things are, as just
Straight.
This is what happens when you get someone that comes on looking to cause trouble. Let's just go on board with Mr. Risk here. He's trying to do that the thing the esports drivers will do because they know it makes them go big on TikTok because they do the drift around the entire lap. This is going to end up in the wall. Whatever happens here, it's going to end up in the wall. There we go.
Yeah. 10 seconds. I bet he's listening to the stream.
I hope so.
Because I said 360 and there you go.
Risky, you're not going to get any points for it. You might as well straight line it, go straight into the wall at the end of the straight, or get one. Or actually, these cars, they don't want to lap him. They don't want it. Look at he's just made an amazing overtake on the leader there. And the leader, of course, Rageman, he's actually going to race Risky to the flag, of course, because you wouldn't code the cars coming into the pit lane, even though they've completed the race. They're going to follow Risky to the line, who somehow finishes on the lead lap. No, he doesn't.
And now he needs to wait for you. Oh, great. This is so great.
You've got 38 seconds, Risky, so we've got time.
Turn it around. There's no one coming. Come on. Is he out of fuel?
We've got time. Pull out in front of him.
He's ghosted.
Oh. And stop. Oh, he's got there. With 18 seconds to spare, Sullivan Lewis crosses the line and is your final finisher as Yuri's carcass is there blocking the way for everyone else. And ends a race. Oh, get off my screen. Fraud. Right. It's a fantastic win, however, if you're Robin, who I don't think you can take this one away from him. I'm sure Matt Shepard is going to try. He's going to do.
I'm going to watch this back straight away and find a way where I can, where we can fuck him over.
So that is that's him into the playoffs. Win and you're in, of course. So that's Dan Price into the playoffs. Now Robin Border in. It was a really good run from Dustin Rolko as well. He'll be happy with a podium. Of course, Leroy shithousing his way from 15th into P2. Couldn't win in Kia, though, could he? So he finds himself in P2. Then we've got Fozzie. Leslie Jess will be, I'm sure she'll be happy, even though she started in P3. She'll be happy with a P5 result. Harry stayed and held position in P6. Jake moves up from 9th to 7th. Yuri comes up from 11th to 8th. Dan Price, Bazza, then Jacko had an absolutely nothing race. Shep, it all fell apart at the safety car restart. Scott, as usual, did Scott things. And Risky was certainly here at some points. OKK drove into the wall on his own. I think for the second time. I think we saw him do it in, was it Silverstone? Somewhere else we've seen him drive into the wall on recovery off the track. And Thomas Nevitt was our one and only retirement, which brought out the safety car and effectively cost Matt Lester the race victory. So, well, what a race it's been, as usual here in Kia. Chaos, carnage, and everything that you expect from the Jackocar Kia series. Do join us on the Thursday, however, when Jacko will be in the comms box. I think he should be in the comms box this time around. He won't be gallivanting back over to America just yet. I'm sure he's desperately waiting to do so. But he will be back for that one, where we will be racing at ? Because, of course, this season in the Cup Series, there is no calendar. The race is done for everyone. Well, Jacko knows it. It's in his brain. But we will not find it out until everyone's in the lobby, and then we will click over to the next race, which could be anyone other than where have we been so far? Saudi, we've been to Imola, we've been to Silverstone. Where else have we been? Have we done 3? Is that the 3 we've done?
We haven't been to Saudi.
Have we not done Saudi? I swear we did Saudi.
Have we?
What was last week?
See, I don't care enough to know.
I can't remember.
But I'm pretty sure we...
Or maybe we haven't done Saudi. We've done something at some point. We've done races. We've done races. They're all on YouTube. Just go back. I mean, look, I'll press a button right now, and it actually probably won't come up because I'm not on the action screen, but it will say subscribe. Honestly, it is worth subscribing. These are only going to get more chaotic with the more assets that I create for this stupid league.
The league is not stupid. It's
Hopefully
scary.
you've all enjoyed it. Do let us know if you have. Of course, like the stream does help us out. Makes Yuri and I feel better as well. Subscribe if you're new. If you're, in fact, I know that there's people here that are actually racing the league that aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel. Scum, subhuman scum. But yeah, we will be back next week, 5th of March in Portugal. Where hopefully we'll actually get some Kia drivers back on the grid rather than half of them not bothering to turn up for no reason. So, Yuri, congratulations, you made it through a driver comms race. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Well, listen, it went better than the 24 hours of F1 event, so I'm happy that it went better than that. Couldn't go much worse, to be fair. From what I hear from commentary, it looked like a good race. Might watch it back, most likely won't. Can't wait for next week. Yeah, neat.
Should watch it back because I need the views desperately. It makes me feel better.
You touch yourself while you look at the numbers of views on your videos.
Don't you?
No, should I?
Try it. It might make.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. We'll get.
It's up to
We'll get.
Y-Racer
We'll get.
on YouTube.
We'll get webcams sorted out.
Wait, what? We're going on OnlyFans?
Jackocar only fans.
Neat. What's the split gonna be like? 50-50, right?
69, 31.
I'll get the 69.
Right. Screw you all. We're heading off. Enjoy the next week or so. We'll see you on Thursday for Kia. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.